Today's conspiracy theories, tomorrow's headlines. Most are still asleep and I ain't talking about no bedtime. The truth is not a Google search, you need to get your head right. The Greek goddess of illusion was called Media, and I'm not a coincidence theorist, I look for thread lines. Smashing every deadline, no longer smashing red wine. Though I can hear the bells chime, it feels like the end times. That probably should have been smashed on red wine, but the carnal mind is foolish. Obey and end up ghoulish. Don't get used by instinct, take control and learn to use it. Make a load of earnest music, earn a few quid, learn a few tricks. Sure, the truth is persecuted, this whole world is pure abusive. Know a bit about everything and everything about nothing. Figured out my noggin while you picture out shopping. You sit about watching while I dish it out, stop it. I don't mean to sound cocky, I'm not even proud of it. It's a second itch to me, just to be this out honest. I don't even need to sound honest, never been about profit. Everything but out on it, you can bet your house on it. Doubt I'll be out for the count when the sounds, and I'm down for the beat, no beat down. I mean, how long's it been? Help me out. I've been the only one who's held me down. All in the mind, hell freeze now. Still sick with it, healthy how? Few bars down and the world freaked out. I don't reach out, I seek out to speak out. I'ma recount the reasons they beat out.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody, to the 509 Divine Pines podcast. I'm your host, Joseph Daniel Pena, and we are about to check out an agenda that's going to help everybody break down a few of the main points that our governments around the world are accomplishing. That way, we can take what we just seen in the debates of our presidential debates and see where that falls in line with the world stage. And yes, these guys are all actors. I watched the debates and that was a joke. Like, subscribe, share, tell them around that this is going down. This is September 10th, right before the anniversary of September 11th. Rest in peace to everybody who died, if anybody died. Yeah, man, let's go ahead and get into check this one out, man. I already got it all loaded, so you guys do not have to wait too much longer. Cool. Let's see. Press play right here.
The 2030 Agenda, proclaimed at the 2015 United Nations Summit in New York, is a global future contract which national governments are expected to adhere. This agenda includes 17 look good on the surface. A closer look reveals the same actors who want nothing less than full control over the Earth's resources. A single centralized world government and the enslavement of all human beings on Earth. Nations itself, but also by influential partners such as the World Economic Forum with its Great Reset. For more than 50 years, the World Economic Forum has brought together the most influential people from politics, business, science, the media, trade unions, NGOs, culture, and churches, and brought them together with the world's richest people. Moreover, they have been educating the world's corporate and political elite for more than 30 years. Great examples are Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, Angela Merkel, Emmanuel Macron, Viktor Orban, or Vladimir Putin. They all went through the World Economic School as young global leaders. No wonder the forum's founder, German professor Klaus Schwab, is considered one of the most influential figures of our time. The United Nations Agenda 2030, a 17-point program for global domination and the enslavement of every nation. Goal 1. No poverty. End poverty in all its forms everywhere. Whole nations and their economies are being targeted and made dependent on governments to lead the victims into a mix of digital socialism and communism. The goal is to centralize all assets and resources, record them digitally, and distribute them or make them accessible only under certain conditions. To achieve this, however, people must be willing to submit completely to the digital industrial complex. Goal 2. Zero hunger, end hunger security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Agriculture is to be destroyed. Since farmers have been made dependent on subsidies, the globalists will be in good position. More and more new requirements are created the farmers can meet. They have no way to run their farms. So more and more farms disappear. The aim is to take over the entire agricultural sector of a country, and indeed of every country, by giant international corporations and investors. They could use genetic engineering and other harmful methods, produce inferior food, or simply leave the land fallow to create food shortages. Whoever has sovereignty over food controls humanity. Goal 3. Good health. Ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. The focus is on the digitization and centralization of all medical standards by the WHO. The World Health Organization can order medical measures all over the world under threat of fines and sanctions. For this purpose, the medical measures of all kinds will be taken away from the national governments. The WHO so-called pandemic contract to decide when and where to order coercive measures such as masks, vaccinations, tests, lockdowns, and quarantine. In addition, all health data will be stored in an international database and linked to the digital identity of every citizen. The health industry will be brought into line worldwide. All opinions and research in medicine that differ from the WHO will be systematically suppressed, persecuted, and criminalized. Naturopathic methods are to be banned from the health sector and replaced by educational offers, products and services of the pharmaceutical and chemical industry. The health of the people will then be completely in the hands of the WHO, which will be able to intervene in a regulatory way through the openly visible health data in case of non-compliant behavior on the part of the individual. This can lead to the individual being denied access to food and necessary medication. Goal 4. Quality education. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Global synchronization of educational systems and standardization of propaganda to ensure the same deep indoctrination of children and youth everywhere. For this purpose, there is to be a common core education, that is, a recipe with obligatory ideological content that is to be programmed into all people. This will lead to a totalitarian re-education in the interests of the elites, who will no longer allow any culturally conditioned values, gender ideologies such as LGBTQ, climate terrorism, and supposed health, through the ingestion of pharmaceutical chemicals, will be used to divide and control people more effectively under the guise of a new world release, digital world currency. Goal 5. Gender equality. Achieve gender equality. TQ are meant to normalize all artificially created abnormalities, up to and including pedophilic tendencies, not only to destroy the traditional family and thus the dissolution and disintegration of peoples, but also to create more divisions and interpersonal more effectively in wage labor by global corporations, while children can be educated by the state in all-day institutions and thus be ideologically indoctrinated much earlier. By destroying the family bond, the digital state will take center stage, providing food and shelter under certain conditions, thus completely replacing the role of the family. Goal 6. Clean water and sanitation. Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Water resources are to be managed centrally. States are being pushed to privatize their water infrastructure and become corporations, which can then sell the water to the people at inflated prices. Sovereignty over water also puts people's health in their hands, as tap water in many places is already contaminated with chemicals such as fluoride. This could be expanded, leading to many chronic illnesses and poisonings, playing right into the hands of the pharmaceutical industry, which can then profitably market their symptom-suppressing substances. Since they will attribute the artificially created water shortage to man-made climate change, they will also take steps to minimize water consumption, especially in. Thus, it will be possible to ban conventional toilets and replace them with waterless ones. Whoever has power over water ultimately controls its rationing, who can use it, how much, and for what purpose. Goal 7. Affordable and clean energy. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy. For ideological reasons, the so-called renewable energies are to be subsidized with taxpayers' money, which will cause the price of electricity to rise immeasurably. People will be forced to finance developments that will drive them further and further into poverty and dependency on the state. People will be forced to use and install the new technologies for energy production. Since this is very expensive, people will have to rely on credit and eventually become dependent on the monopolistic financial system. Or they will have to sell their real estate at a discount to the same globalist structures and move to 15-minute cities. Entire sectors of the economy will collapse and small and family dominance of the large corporations can be further expanded. All
Sorry for the slight delay in the video. I will get that back up. As you can see, they have a whole bunch of plans to go ahead and control our food, our infrastructure, our energy, our transportation. And what have we seen over the last 5 years? We've seen hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cattle and chicken and farms mysteriously go up in fire and flames, just mysteriously go bad, and they all get killed, slaughtered. They all have some diseases, and we've seen a lot of factories, oil factories, gas places. It's different natural resource locations in our country either get put offline or mysteriously up in flames, and it's happened on all sectors. So it's not just one; it's everywhere. And this Kamala Harris chick, as you seen in the debate, she seriously has zero plan for any of the climate change or um, new energy resources. That is what we got. As a matter of fact, her and her cronies are the people pushing for more devastation. Let's go ahead, and I'm trying to get this video back up and be real. Super crucial we finish this. Even over here in Washington State, seen Jay Inslee implement a ban by 2030 for gas cars in state, and by 2030, people better have electric or electric cars or natural energy cars, and it's even gone down to those things. We've seen a worldwide digitalization of currency, aka Bitcoin, and the implementation of some of these banks and some of these companies, going cashless. If the whole world can go cashless, someone can control it. If we don't have, if our money is not in our hands, it's in someone else's. Let's go ahead and get back to this video now that I got it back up.
All energy supply channels will be digitized so that the consumption of all households can be analyzed in real time. Smart meters, IoT thermometers, and other network metering devices will make it possible to monitor and sanction entire households at the command of the government or artificial intelligence. In this way, energy can be rationed or cut off altogether remotely. The scarcity will not only lead to gigantic profits for the energy corporations, but will also make people permanently blackmailable and controllable. As technology corporations and governments continue to expand their power and influence, blackouts and rationing will become commonplace. Goal 8. Decent work and economic growth. Promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. The side effects of vaccination campaigns will lead to labor shortages. Richer countries will rely on skilled workers from abroad as long as they are needed at all, leading to increased labor migration. This will have a negative impact on the countries of origin of these migrants, as their countries will be weakened by the lack of skilled workers and left to fend for themselves. After much of the so-called skilled labor has migrated, threatening to disintegrate the migrants' countries of origin, the global elite will begin to loot and sell off the weakened countries. Labor migration can also be used as an excuse to destroy the economy of the destination country. All that is needed is to import enough unskilled workers to cause as much damage as through lack of expertise, because the appropriate quality standards or procedures are not mastered. If unrest is to be provoked, it is enough to flood a country with migrant workers. The artificially created labor surplus will be exploited by large corporations to dictate working conditions, approval of governments. Values of freedom and human dignity will be a thing of the past. Once the local small and medium enterprises have been systematically destroyed and a large part of the population made unemployed, a partially socialist and communist structure can easily be imposed on the victims. In this way, housing, energy, or food can be made dependent on obedience or the carbon dioxide budget. Goal 9. Industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and realization, and foster innovation. Nations are to be made equal. This will result in a lowering of the level of the more developed nations, so that all nations will be driven into unprecedented poverty. The wealth of the population will be destroyed by creeping expropriation, while the profits of the global ruling class will increase immeasurably. The entire economy and all resources will be centralized and controlled through the introduction of command and digital identity, carbon dioxide budgets, and digital currencies. All government agencies, police, and courts will be taken over by artificial intelligence and digital automated processes. National economies will be destroyed in favor of large international corporations acting in the spirit of the communist long-term strategy. Automation and robotics will drive people into unemployment and total dependence on governments, and lead to the abolition of private property and limited rights of use and ownership, depending on the carbon dioxide budget and digital currencies. Remaining jobs in buildings or 15-minute zones will depend on digital access and identification systems. Living space will be relocated to thoroughly digitalized and fully monitored modular 15-minute cities and Chinese-style gigacities, where people will no longer be able to move freely due to carbon prisons rather than living space. Goal 10. Reduce inequalities. Reduce inequality within and among countries.
Yep, sorry about that. Getting back to it, here you go. Boom. Thank you for staying tuned.
Freedoms. The educational, financial, and health system standardized under the guise of peace and international understanding. A world religion and world culture are being introduced. To level the playing field, economic competition will be criminalized and private property will be minimized. Entitlements to resources will be distributed according to the specifications of the new world government. Goal 11. Sustainable cities and communities. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. The conflicts deliberately created and provoked by mass and labor migration will not only fuel unemployment and the competition it creates, but also increase crime to unprecedented levels. Civil protests and civil war-like conditions will serve as the basis for further depriving people of their basic rights and freedom of movement at the local level, imprisoning them in their 15-minute cities as if they were in a prison camp. There will be no freedom of movement. It will depend on the carbon dioxide budget and only allow you to stay in certain parts of the city or town to protect the climate and ensure the security of a 15-minute zone. Cities and settlements will be transformed into 15-minute gigacities with complete radical digitization and surveillance. Residents monitored in real time and punished for violations with fines, carbon dioxide budget restrictions, or imprisonment. All monetary benefits will be distributed exclusively in digital form, but only to people who accept the new system and adapt their behavior to the agenda. The monopolies of violence will be radically expanded and endowed with special rights to intervene in the sphere of life in case of violations of the agenda. Any citizen critical of the government can then be detained or even killed without trial or charge. Brutal terrorist attacks and police public consumption to intimidate, silence, and incapacitate critics. Before the situation escalates completely, people will be disarmed and gun laws will be adjusted so that victims will have no. The state will pass new eminent domain laws to arbitrarily seize property. In the first phase of eminent domain, people will be blackmailed into making any kind of renovations to their homes in order to meet climate goals. If they do not comply and refuse, the second phase of expropriation will criminalize and prohibit the sale, rental, and occupancy of these homes. Millions of people will lose their homes and property, become dependent on the state, and have no alternatives to the 15-minute city. Sustainable consumption and production patterns. There will be carbon budgets based on the Chinese model of social credit points, where each person can be individually penalized or rewarded for their consumption or behavior. A digital identity will be. This will be required as the basis for issuing digital wallets. In addition, as part of the agenda, implantable digital identities will be issued to each individual at birth. All previously issued documents such as driver's license, ID card, passport, birth certificate, land records, medical records, patents, tax number will be merged as a digital record for digital identity. A global digital smart contract instance based on artificial intelligence will be created to govern all diet, usage, health, movement, and temporary ownership rights. This will determine who can temporarily own or use something and for how long. Allocation of mobility rights, determining if and with which vehicles and within which radius a person is allowed to move. It also regulates what they may eat and what substances they must have injected. The Universal Monetary Unit, a digital world currency based on a central bank digital currency, becomes the only means of payment. It will primarily guarantee unrestricted transactions between governments, banks, and corporations.
Order man.
Hey, dude, how's it going?
There. Doing
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me okay, or is this bad?
How's the weather treating you?
Oh, it's hot as fuck, man.
You guys getting a lot of storms and stuff?
It was rainy for a few weeks, but man, I'll tell you, I just want to know, man, do I actually sound good or not, man?
So you're talking. I don't know. I'm not sure if you're. You know what? The stream can hear you. I can't. Let's go ahead and finish this video. Then we're gonna go ahead and get to the politics.
All right, cool, dude. Cool. Yep.
The other hand, obedience of the system. Digital currency will have an expiration date and be programmable. Every person will be controllable via carbon dioxide points, and the United Nations will be able to determine where the digital money can be spent. The tax and control authorities, health authorities, doctors and hospitals, and other institutions subordinated to the UN will have access to all data in real time, automatically. In order to be able to intervene in the consumption behavior of all people with prohibitions and punishments. Medications, and other medical measures will be linked to the wallet so that rewards and punishments can be given automatically as needed. All vehicles are monitored in real time in the event of non-compliance with the zones and areas authorized for the vehicle. The driver will be warned in the first phase and penalized with the immobilization of the vehicle in the event of further non-compliance. All products and services, as well as the way we live, will have a carbon footprint. This will be digitally evaluated and rewarded or punished with points, which will also affect the basic income. This will make companies controllable services if they violate climate targets. To facilitate the coming expropriation, a registration and verification for precious metals and valuables of all kinds. People who own gold and silver and have not registered it will not be allowed to sell it to official entities, as the purchase will only be legal for registered holdings. The expropriation of land to build, for example, wind, solar farms, or other regenerative systems, is easily enabled on the basis of climate goals. People who cannot afford to rebuild their homes to the latest climate standards will not be allowed to. In the case of violations, the victims risk having their CBDC credit reduced to the point where they can't even afford food. The concept of purely utility, where people eat, to further isolate people from one another.
People can't even afford shit already.
The family is to be divided and separated as much as possible, all their freedoms. The elite will continue to rule without restriction and enjoy all the comforts.
We are back. This video is pretty large, so just work with us.
Health Organization and the Food and Agriculture Organization. Plant-based foods will be modified to the point where essential ingredients are no longer included, must be supplied externally through supplementation to further increase dependency on the pharmaceutical industry. There will be two classes of food based on carbon dioxide budget and control via medicinal plants that could promote our health or alleviate the suffering of the sick. Currently compete with the products of the pharmaceutical industry will be banned and their use made punishable. All food, energy, water, and everyday products, including mobility, will be given a carbon dioxide imprint that will be digitally recorded and assigned to the state-imposed digital identity. In order to achieve the unattainable climate goals, individual transportation will be abolished and replaced by self-driving autonomous vehicles that will only be rental or subscription model. If they have the appropriate carbon dioxide points, this will be touted to people as safer and more environmentally friendly, but will only serve to restrict freedom of movement and total control. Critics and opposition movements that do not believe in man-made climate change or question the 17 goals of the UN Agenda 2030 will be persecuted and silenced. Goal 14, Life Below Water. Conserve and sustainably use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. Waters and their resources will be centrally registered and managed, with access restricted to selected corporations. Shipping and private and commercial use of oceans, lakes, and rivers will be further restricted and allowed only under certain conditions, which small fishermen will rarely be able to afford. Large corporations, however, will be allowed to continue fishing because they will receive the necessary capital through subsidies to comply with new standards, such as the digitalization of fishing quotas or the conversion to electric propulsion. This will make fishing less attractive, the supply will be reduced, and the few large licensees will make huge profits. Conversely, this will lead to even greater poverty in third world countries and mass migrations that will destabilize the richer countries as well. In addition, the chemical industry will exacerbate the acidification of the oceans, which will have incalculable consequences, including the extinction of fish. Goal 15, Life on Land. Protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, manage forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. All land and resources will be digitally mapped. Environmental and conservation zones will be expanded to drive people into 15-minute cities. Agricultural land will be centrally managed and controlled so that its use can be banned at any time, making it impossible for farmers to grow food. This will create artificial food shortages. Forests, parks, mountains, meadows, wetlands, and arid areas will be more regulated and restricted, or only allowed with a certain carbon dioxide credit. For the alleged prevention of droughts and the expansion of arid areas, chemical and technical means will be used to interfere with the natural processes of this earth. This will further destroy the biosphere, which is one of the goals of the technocrats. Targeted chemical eradication of plant species and their replacement with genetically modified, non-self-replicating plants will add value, but will also destroy the balance of nature. Goal 16. Peace, justice, and strong institutions. Promote peaceful and inclusive societies for sustainable development. Provide access to justice for all and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels. The monopolies of violence will be expanded in order to impose destructive and artificial concepts of society on the peoples of this earth by force and blackmail. This will lead to flight and civil wars. Traditions and any individuality of peoples will be suppressed in order to create a uniform world society. Historical monuments and works of art will disappear from public view. A world religion will also be enforced, forcing people to submit to satanic practices. The forced intermingling of races will be enforced in order to breed away any individuality from ethnic groups in the long run. Mixed marriages will be rewarded with points and higher social status. Individuals will no longer be able to fall back on their cultivation. Mass confusion, robots with artificial intelligence, and artificially created gender variants will be socially equalized and promoted. Under pretext of the best interests of the child, it will be made easier for the executive organs to take offense or critical of the government, which is for the goals, strengthen the means of implementation, and revitalize the global partnership for sustainable development. The structure behind the United Nations is the leading authority and holds all decision-making and executive powers. The nation-states will disappear after the infiltrated governments have acted as lightning rods for the people and as pathfinders, and then become obsolete. All national laws and jurisdictions will become obsolete, as they will only exist from the ones in the form of artificial intelligence. The plan of the elites is very clear. They want to lead us into a dystopian future in which we will be deprived of all freedom. The nationals are not standing up against this agenda, but against the people. This is no wonder, since every government today is already infiltrated and in maximum dependence on the globalist structures, which also control the monetary system. They want the people to completely surrender their own freedoms and surrender their own future to destruction by accepting the New World Order. It is up to us as the whole of humanity to do something about this agenda, and we must do so before it is too late.
Hello. I can't hear you at all, though. I think you're muted too.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yo, so what'd you guys think about that documentary, man? That thing was on point.
How
It's
old
fake,
was
bro.
that? Like some of the footage of it seemed like it was older. You know, I was trying to look for stuff like signs
Oh,
that
it's
might have
definitely
been
well,
like. Oh, go ahead.
it was just a recap of the whole Agenda 2030, I believe. You know, it was probably made within the last like 6 years. And you know, this Agenda 2030 has been a worldwide new world order structure that's been here for, man, who knows, 50 to 100 to 200 years. I reckon that the idea of the new world order and the new world started with Columbus and prior to that, but as far as this new world orders with like the Fourth Reich and this new technological development of a new society, it's you know, the Agenda 2030 is where they want it, right? So
Well, that's
I
why I was.
I find it
Yeah, that's why I was asking how old that documentary was or whatever the video was, because you know, like that 5 years ago is not that long ago to us, but the technology wasn't there. Like some of the computer animations, of course, were there, but if they weren't as just AI generated, like we've seen the spike in the AI generated videos now, where some things can be faked so easily, or you know, like somebody at least had to put effort into making those images. You know what I mean? Compared to today.
Oh yeah, those you can tell that. I mean, those weren't images that the person who made the video took. Like those were just like stock images and images, you know, found
Nah,
throughout the
that shit looked really
internet.
fucking high quality, like a movie or something.
Yeah, they put
Right,
some
but
effort into it. Yeah.
you you can still even pull up high quality images off the internet if you pay like 20, 30, 40 bucks for licensing and do it through a publisher's catalog, right?
I'm just wondering
So
who funded
like,
that.
or
That
even if you
had to
pay.
have been a couple thousand, maybe like couple 10,000 to like produce that footage. I want to know where it's from because that shit was like it was really high fucking quality shit. I was like, what the fuck?
Maybe just an enthusiastic patriot, man. Who knows? You know. I don't know.
Yeah, some fucking dude who really wants to warn people, has all that money, and is like a professional director.
Yeah, I mean, let's even talk about that for a second. Not even,
Yeah, a
or
lot of
just
people
has
have
the
money
determination to
these
figure it
days,
out. But
and but anyways, so the agenda 2030 thing, right? You know, what we just seen were main talking points of what just happened with this presidential debate with Harris and Donald Trump. They were asked about climate change. They were asked about economics. They kind of dance around the subject, right? But the only reason that we're in this economic struggle is because of the Agenda 2030. As we've seen, what's the motto? You will own nothing and you will be happy. Well, how do we get a lot of the society to go ahead and like lose value in their savings and pretty much just go broke? Well, you inflate it, and this has been a step forward for their whole new world order in America. What we've seen over the last 4 years, we've seen societal tensions. Brothers fight with brothers because, oh, you voted for Biden, you voted for Trump. Oh, let's fight now. Where our family's gonna go this way, we go that way, or BLM or Proud Boys and all that. Like it's been real divisive, and even like the energy and oil and things. What we've seen gasoline go up like 200%, and it's quite ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, but in the New World Order and Agenda 2030 aspects, it completely makes sense. I'm in Washington State where they made a law. This Governor Jay Inslee made a law where anybody who is caught driving gasoline cars after the year 2030 will be fined, banned, or thrown in jail and things like that. And it's everything that we're seeing has been part of what we just seen with this documentary.
Yeah, I feel like where I'm at right now, San Francisco and like Oakland, it's been a long time coming
You,
because of Kamala Harris. She used to be the fucking mayor, or
oh
yeah, she was
yeah,
just so like what they've been doing and with Gavin Newsom, I feel like out here is they're testing the waters with like a lawless land, and I feel like they're just letting all these things happen and these people run free so they can eventually just be like once people start fighting back, they can just say like, oh well, we're just gonna throw in the National Guard. We're gonna come and we're just gonna take over your fucking city. You guys wanted to defund the police. You guys wanted less police action. You wanted like a less militarized or whatever. You wanted us to go easier on people in terms of prison sentences. You say the prisons are overpopulated. Well, here you go. Now every fucking law is there is no laws anymore. Now what? So now you got people fighting back like regular fucking civilians. I routinely see this all the time, and it's pretty cool when you see a like nerdy ass white tech guy and some hood ass fool band together to beat the fuck out of a thief. It's pretty cool to see the unity, and that unity is still there. But when the cops show up, the thief isn't the one that gets arrested. You know who gets arrested is the two fucking people that were holding him down. It's really ass backwards, and it's like, to me, that's just a way for them to test out how they can just turn around and say, all right, well now we're gonna send tanks down the street and nobody gets the fuck out. Nobody's allowed to do this. Nobody's allowed to go anywhere, and you're fucking broke, so you're not gonna go anywhere anyway. Yeah.
and this whole defund the police institutes on this rioting because they're making laws. Oh, you know what? The cops can't get involved in anything less than $1,000, and which is causing even more tension with the citizens and the law enforcement and the local governance, and allowing these gangs of terrorists or paid demolition, like paid what do we call them? Paid actors and or paid vigilantes, right? And another the other half aspect of all of this is the migrants that are coming in, where these guys are also going into cities where they're told to stand down. And well, what's happening? These guys, the migrants, are kicking people out of their houses, kicking people out of their businesses, their cars. then the police are told to stand down. And some of the interviews, it's
That's
the police
crazy.
were like, well,
Really? Where are they doing that
by
at?
the laws of the sanctuary city, we have to stand down. Yeah. Uh,
Where?
Texas, Colorado, Chicago. So
Where
there's
are
been
these
like Aurora,
migrants
Colorado.
from?
There's been Dallas, Texas. Snap. Well, it's probably based in these democratic,
No, like what
instituted.
ethnicity are these migrants that
Um,
are coming and taking over these cities? Because I seen this thing where it was a bunch of Venezuelans,
so currently there,
and I'm like, bro, never in my
yes,
life will
currently
I ever
there's
be
the
afraid of a
Venezuelan.
fucking Venezuelan.
Well, there's also the thing about it is though. There's also some
Currently,
other people talking about how like some of it might just be even these owners of these properties are just not wanting to maintain them and just want a good reason to shut them down. And I give both sides of it credulence. I believe that there is actually a lot of gang activity happening, but also those guys are using it as a convenient excuse to not have to maintain a building that should just be condemned anyway. Like it's almost like an insurance scam, or like it's a scam either way.
I'm
You know,
never in my life
but
will I be
I think
afraid of
that
a
they're
Venezuelan, bro.
well. I don't know enough of them to be afraid or not. I mean, I respect the few that I've known. I mean, I've known a few that are all right people, I guess, but I don't know.
What the fuck is it with Trump saying
well, there's
that
also
Mexicans eat dogs and shit? Or what did he say? I'm like, bro,
no, no, no,
really?
no, no.
Come on. Like, why are we even fucking
I was
watching this
about to
shit?
no, 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 dude. I was about to say that there's real reports. This is not even a joke. So, as we know over what's going on in Haiti, right? The gang problem has gotten so bad that barbecue leader Jimmy Savoy or whatever the freak his name is, he's like this cultist type of gang leader, and they're all into cannibalism, right? If we understand the
Yeah.
cultures and the tribe, if the tribes that were there about 100 or 200 years ago in those areas, they were cannibal tribes. This is real. These guys believed in ancient stuff, and that kind of spread into what is still there. And yeah, these people are
I was
fleeing over
disappointed that
from
Trump.
Haiti and these other countries. And
Sorry.
right now in places like Ohio and in places like New York, there's been multiple reports of these Haitians um, causing problems where they're taking animals and they're skinning them and killing them and cooking them, and uh it's not even a joke. It wasn't fake news. It was that reporter or whoever the announcer was given the questions. That guy, he was totally on Kamala's side, and I'm not even a fan of Donald Trump really, but like that dude was like completely just one-sided with that whole thing. Donald Trump won that, and it was all true that these immigrants are coming from other countries, dude, and they don't care. It was, remember, it was earlier in this year, like January, in New York, where it wasn't Venezuelans. It was I'm not gonna. I apologize, but if I'm wrong, maybe it was like Dominican Republic or something. But these migrants beat up some woman, raped. I think maybe raped her too, and then the judge just let them go within like a day or two. Those two of them, and they. It's like, what's happening? And these
So that's
cities
what
that are
confuses me.
ran by the
That's
policy.
what. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're going. You keep going. Yeah, just whenever you guys talk, whenever you guys want to talk, just get this talk, and then I'll mute my mic. That's why.
No, it's just that's what confuses me because there's all this anti-immigrant rhetoric, yet right here where I'm at, it's like the heartland of leftist ideology. It's like the fucking ground zero for this like whatever democratic belief, San Francisco, California, and it's so fucking ass backwards, and I don't understand what the deal is with like when it comes to immigrants. For example, how people are talking about immigrants are eating dogs and cats. It's being seen that, or it is it's it goes without saying that immigrants are ruining the country. That's the image. Yet I hear nonstop about how immigrants are getting passes. They're getting let go. They're getting special privileges, right? So with that being said, just yesterday, I'm going to give you an example of how much of fucking wasteland San Francisco is. You can walk out there in certain parts and see people doing fentanyl. You can see people just fucking shooting heroin. You see people walk into a fucking Safeway with a garbage bag, put shit in it, and then just walk out with police presence there, not doing anything whatsoever. You go to a fucking park, you see a car pull up, just break every single fucking window of the car at the park, steal their shit and leave. However, yesterday there was a hot dog vendor. There was a Mexican lady selling hot dogs on the fucking corner. You know who the police decided to arrest? Let me tell you. Let me ask you. Do you think it was A, the person that was doing heroin in front of the fucking church or the school? B, the guy that walked into the fucking CVS and stole like a fucking grocery bag full of shit? Or C, do you think it was a fucking Mexican lady trying to sell hot dogs on the corner? Who do you think got fucking manhandled and arrested? Tell me. I want to know. Who do you think?
Yeah, old lady. They did the old lady like that, man. Yeah, I've seen videos. They be messing with these Mexican vendors. They don't like Mexicans making money on the corner through their fruit stands over there in California.
But see, that's where I'm confused. That's where I'm so confused. It's like where I'm in ground zero for leftist ideology, where that's such a hot fucking topic. Kamala Harris is home, yet there's immigrants getting beat the fuck up, getting arrested, getting treated like shit, getting beat up by these hood fools, getting beat up by the police. But I always hear some fucking dumbass, some story about how an immigrant did this or an immigrant got a fucking house. You know, these fucking, I know this, like, these immigrants that live they're Mexican immigrants. They live in San Francisco. No fucking one of those motherfuckers getting any sort of benefits whatsoever from anybody. They live in a small ass house. There's 9 of them, and they can barely afford fucking rent. You know how I know? It's because they have their own Mexican restaurant. It's
Right.
like,
I mean, so there's like a split between the immigrants, right? Like some of the older Mexicans aren't getting or the older immigrants that have been here for like 10 years, 15 years, they still waiting for the visas, and they're still waiting for their IDs and passports and everything, or their citizenship. And then these newer ones that these people are getting shipped and flown in from other countries. I think what's going on is that deals are being made by our politicians like Kamala Harris and Biden and their administration to get some of the terrorists and get some of the criminal organizations and ship them over here, because I've heard that multiple times where it almost seems like the worst of certain countries are coming over here, like paid militia, where it's like only the military aged men, they're all fit and they all have this plan. There's been interviews that have came out where the people are at the border, they're like, hey, so of you guys are all going to different cities, and they're like, yeah. And the person in the interview is like, well, like, why is that? Aren't you guys all in the same, the same ethnicity from the same country? And they're like, well, we have a plan, so we all gotta set up our bases over here and do these things. And some of them are doing it illegally, being paid illegally through the shadow organizations or our politicians, where they do illegal type of things. But then some of it is actually legal, like BS, where some of these immigrants are being paid like 3,600 on a debit card, and then they're getting food stamps and they're getting all sorts of benefits. I know for a fact, I was just mowing some lawns over the summer for immigrant H2A housing, and these guys got housing for free. because they were part of a immigrant program from Mexico or something. They were given like a dorm room with other immigrants, so they didn't have to pay any water, they didn't have to pay any electricity, they didn't have to pay anything
Were
really. They didn't
they
have to.
were they
They
working on the
saved
fields
their
or
whole
what?
check. Yeah, they were working in the fields, but they didn't have to pay anything. Like
That's
they had
different.
water,
That's always
light,
been going
heating,
on.
electricity. Oh, right, okay, but there's been more programs so that they get paid extra stuff like a debit card or free actual housing like in some parts of California. I just was a program that that was trying to be passed over the next couple months, and that is a proposal for them. Um, it seems like that's part of what we just seen in this documentary. I know you came halfway through, but in the first half of the documentary that I watched, I reposted it on Twitter for everybody out there. You guys can watch that Agenda 2030 documentary, and in there it said there's a destabilization effort that needs to be implemented by the world's and into the world stage if the Agenda 2030 wants to be accomplished, right? Because um that's what's happened in Europe, right? What have we seen? We've seen all these Muslim takeovers and these Arab takeovers, and people in the biggest cities of Europe are like leaving and fleeing because what's happened? They've elected Muslim governance, got Muslim mayors, and the elite, like it's completely taken over. People are being raped and murdered in the streets over there, like legit, and the cops can't do anything because they're immigrants, and the some of these nations are being sold out for the profit of the elites, you know because as we know, who runs the prison programs? The bankers, the bankers and the politicians. They're the ones prisons, and they need certain individuals there. Well, if they can get the criminals, uh if they can get the criminals that they want, and they just flood and cause more rioting and more division, they can kind of pick and choose who goes into these programs and goes into the prison. And it it's bad. It's freaking bad, man. Right now, it is so bad.
Well, they can instill martial law.
What
They can use it as an excuse to instill martial law eventually. If people do start to actually take matters into their own hands or whatever,
Yeah, in Oakland, California,
Yeah,
there's a bunch of robberies that goes on almost nonstop, and there's always gunfire that goes on nonstop. It's like Grand Theft Auto in real life. Um, Most of the time, people, when someone robs their shit, they're just like, "Oh fuck," God damn it, and they just kind of just let it happen. They don't fight back. But the other day, these stupid motherfucking pieces of shit, these low life scum, broke into a dude's house and he blasted them. He fucking lit them up. Boom, boom. He lit them up. The police got there, and guess what they did?
well, they shook him down. They arrested him probably.
Yes, they arrested the dude that shot the burglars.
Yeah, you got to have like your ducks in a row. Like if you're going to live in a place like anywhere, really, you got to check your local laws, especially. But just be prepared for like even if you pull your gun and don't even shoot it, like you should be the first one to call the cops and be like, "Hey, this guy was a creep, and I pulled my gun on him." Like before that guy can call the cops first,
That's
you might
crazy,
want
isn't
to
it?
call them
Isn't that
yourself. I
insane?
mean, it kind of is, but at the same time, if you're actually in the right, you just want to go ahead and report it and say, "Hey, man, this crazy guy came and accosted me, and I drew my weapon, and then he ran off." But don't let him be the one that calls them first and say, "Hey, some crazy guy driving XYZ vehicle or whatever, just pulled a gun on me." They could tell the cops you're just some crazy guy with a gun.
I guess. I mean,
It's kind of your responsibility if you do carry a gun that, it's not so much follow the rules, but just protect your own ass.
I don't. It just baffles me how someone can invade your home and you defend yourself and you get arrested.
Well,
Meanwhile,
especially in your own home. Yeah, that's insane. Yeah, for sure.
on the flip side, there was a guy who murdered a police officer who just got his charges dropped out here in Oakland. It's the same shit. You
Wow.
can you can murder a police officer and walk free,
That's insane.
but if you defend yourself in your own house, you go to jail. I'm telling you, I don't understand. I don't get what's going on anymore. I don't understand their
It's not
plan.
even just that. It's not even just that. If you say something a little bit on the wrong platform to a big enough audience, you can get sued for $2 billion, $5 billion, $1 trillion, like they did with Alex Jones. So that whole Alex Jones Sandy Hook thing, I'm looking into it more, and like that's the biggest fraudulent case in history, and it could happen to anybody because what that
That's
documentary
the
that we
idea.
just
Yeah.
watched, right? Yeah, the documentary we just watched, they just said it for this Agenda 2030 to happen. They're gonna need to silence the biggest voices, silence anybody who goes against the grain, and call them crazy, call them this, and gaslight them and make them look like they're wrong. And
Make a
that's
big
kind of what
example
Kamala
out of
did
them.
the whole night. Kamala tried doing that to Donald Trump the whole night, but she was just like completely dumb about it, and it didn't work. But for Alex Jones, they were able to like actually get into his lawyer completely betrayed him. He sent him all the text messages, and it screwed over Alex Jones, and that's why he lost the case. They've also tried silencing David Icke. They're kind of trying to silence Joe Rogan and Elon Musk and Donald Trump. They kicked them off the biggest platform. Um, it, it's yeah, that's a huge issue.
I'm not even a big David Duke fan, but look at the guy. He turned his back on the Klan a long time ago, and they just still won't let it go. It's like the guy's got his own opinions and stuff, but man, he's been censored for a long time. I
What
don't know if
about
you
Jim
really.
Carrey? They murdered his wife.
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that's
They
They
that's
said
said
the
what?
same thing to the director that made the movie about all those rich elites. They wear the masks,
yeah.
eyes wide shut. What's that director's name? They got his daughter, dude,
Oh,
Yeah,
that
well,
was
they actually
Stanley
they
Kubrick. That
killed
was
him
like
too.
Kubrick's last movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, they
yeah,
killed him.
and his daughter.
Clockwork Orange,
The moon
2001: A
landing.
Space Odyssey.
He did the moon landing too.
So right here, this is kind of part of the problem. Even in a documentary, they had stated that a satanic religion is going to be needed all across the world in order to take over the world, and that's what's happened over in Haiti, man. These guys, this is news reports of people being killed and eaten in the streets by these gangs. There was a 3,200 killings from January to May. So just in 5 months, there was at least 3,200 people murdered reported at least. Um, it is
And even if they
insane.
only
I
eat
mean,
one out of 100 of them, that's still 32 people they actually ate, though. I mean, it's a lot of. I don't know, man. Cannibalism just kind of bothers me a little bit. I mean, it's a little beyond. Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it's an ancient thing that goes into our blood. What I do realize is that like there's certain topics that really bring out our true religion, where like the people who have this sense of God, or who have this sense of a higher power and higher belief, and like a higher spirit, and understanding of us in a higher sense. Yeah, like this is gonna bother us. Uh this has been happening for at least a couple thousand years, and it's instinctual. Like, who taught us to really hate this type of stuff, and for it's been in our blood, it's been in our DNA, man. Don't feel bad, man.
Well, for some people, I think a lot of people are taught these days that they should deny Hey, I'm not saying you should necessarily embrace hate, but hate's a natural human emotion, you know? To unite against hate is kind of like you're just uniting against something that's natural, you know? Like, not that you should embrace it, like I said, but at the same time, just make sure you're not hating the wrong things, you know?
Right, right. The Bible and these ancient cultures say like we hate this sin.
Yeah, I hate evil stuff, I mean, like PDF files, they I don't like them.
So that's true. That's funny. I seen that about a Drake meme. So the Internet Archive right here says the 1984 George Orwell was removed from the library just recently. I have not watched the movie or read the book, but I need to because I'm sure that it kind of plays in with the whole Agenda 2030 and even Kamala Harris talking about that Project 2025. If we look into it, she's more aligned with all those views, trying to go ahead and throw it all over on Trump. Like that typical woman right there.
Well, they used it like a playbook. I mean, Orwell, I don't think he really meant it to be a playbook, but that's what it's become. And I'm really kind of surprised you haven't ever read it or anything. Actually, I think it's free on YouTube. You can just listen to the audiobook version on
Tell us
YouTube.
about
And
it.
it's like a British game show host did it. And like he puts a little bit of passion into it. Like he kind of did a bunch of other like audiobooks. Like he kind of woke up to the stuff back in the 70s or 80s whenever he recorded it. I can't remember, but the guy, he was pretty cool. I can't think of his name right now, but that's like I said, it's free on YouTube and it's like a 9 or 10 hour
Give
audiobook,
us a little,
basically.
give us a little synopsis or preview of what we can expect in 1984.
It's really a love story. So of course the dystopian future, and Winston, he's working at the Ministry of Truth. They have the three ministries: the Ministry of Truth, the Ministry of Love, which is the one where they torture people to, break them, and then like what's the other one? Well, the Ministry of War. I can't remember actually. So like, but anyway, Winston is the main character. He works at the Ministry of Truth, and his job is basically to revise news stories. Like if you get, if something happens or like the state wants a new story to come out, then he has to take the old copy of it and just shove it down a hole and burn it, basically. They call it the memory hole. So like that's his job. He doesn't like it, but he does it anyway. And I don't know, he's like a bit of a rebel, and there's this girl, and I don't know. I don't want to ruin any of it for you. If you haven't read it, that's just kind of
Hey, no,
should
no,
be
no,
on your
no. It's
to-do
all
list
right.
now.
It kind of just like gives us a little bit of a preview. Like you can't really kill scenes that we haven't seen because
Well,
by
so let me give
describing
you
them.
background. Like I call myself face to the screen because they have a thing called the 2 minutes hate in that book where like everybody has to go into a room like at noon or whatever at work, like everybody just stops for 2 minutes, goes into a room, they have a screen or several screens of like just the enemy, like the Emmanuel Goldstein, I think is the bad guy's name. That's like the enemy of the state. And like they just show his face on the screen. Like everybody's just got to stand there and just scream and cuss at it, for a couple minutes. And like if you don't scream at it hard enough, then you get pulled aside. And like if you do, if you don't really show enough passion with your hate for the bad guy, then eventually you just never show up again. So I don't call myself face to the screen because I'm facing to the screen. It's more like just an homage to that idea. And the TV screens watch you back. So the guy wrote this story in 1948, back before it was kind of realistic for all your TVs to be
Dang.
watching you back. But yeah, he
Well,
nailed it.
that's
Like,
been the plan with these. That's 100% been the plan with these electronics the whole time. There's been like this secret doctrine of the technocrats and the elitists and the eugenicists, where they were way advanced in their thinking and their methodology of how they should use this technology to to cause a worldwide decline in population through their eugenic programs, right? And that a lot of the doctrination that these billionaires and trillionaires are following are from like the early 1900s. Uh, that's how we got a lot of this stuff in George Orwell and these different authors. They were hanging around the social clubs. At that time there was a huge boom. I say some of the highest IQs happened in the early 1900s, between Nikola Tesla, uh, Edison, Einstein. A lot of these guys, they were all hanging around the social clubs and circles at the bars and diners, and these guys were all writing. Dude, like, we have fallen so far in literacy and our ability to coordinate plans at a large scale like these guys were, and it's been 100-year plan. We're just seeing the final frontier.
Well, they're the masters of demographics. They know, like Ed Bernays. You've heard of Ed Bernays, right? He
Yeah, the Edward
He's
Bernays
like
is
the
the
father
creator
of
of the
modern
propaganda.
propaganda and stuff. Yeah, so he knew how to advertise to people and break people into demographics, and just the political parties took that and ran with it. Just if you can divide the public into different demographics to the point where they don't even recognize their own neighbors, then all bets are off. You got them where you want them. If you're the politician.
uh there's a video game, BioShock, and it put me on to that. These guys in the early 1800s and 1900s are way smarter and way more cynical than we like understand. Uh, yeah,
Oh yeah. If you
right
ever
here.
read like Jules
There's a
Verne or
piece of
anything like that, yeah.
news. North Carolina, $1 million in royalties, dude. So for a span of like 5 years, he was playing music on Spotify that he created through artificial intelligence, and he was mining the plays artificially through bots. So the bots eventually made him millions, millions. He would
Wow.
have about $1 million per day made. In some of the days, he would generate around 600,000 streams per day. Uh, some of the names had unusual song names. Were Zygots, Zymoplastic. He had fake artists called Calm Baseball, Calorie Screams, Camel Edible. Oh man, hey dude, that's the
That's
way you like
crazy though.
get rid of AI though.
Just
He
flood it
made
out, right?
$10 million in royalties or more.
Oh, good for him, man. I
He
mean,
can
hey, I'm not
face
against
a
that.
right, but he can face 20 years in prison for money laundering, wire fraud, conspiracy, wire fraud. Oh my goodness. New York does not play about their money. Of course. I mean, if the bankers do it, then they're going to look the other way. But if, Tom from down the street, or Bill from up the road, or Scott, across the river wants to do it, no, man.
But the Wolf of
I
Wall
mean,
Street?
those,
No, hell
those,
no.
those are just the most artificial names ever. But
Mhm.
and,
Walter, Tom, Tony, John.
and Jerry from the hood, fuck no. uh,
Money is the root of all evil, bro.
It's not the love
what
of
you guys
money.
think?
It's
What
actually,
you
I'm
guys?
sorry. It's the love of money.
What
Like,
were your
money
guys'
is not
main
the root of all
takeaways?
evil. It's the love of excessive love of money. Like, pride is not that bad either. Like, they say pride is the king of all sin, but really it's excessive pride. You should have some amount of pride in your work or in yourself, but like, excessive pride is when you start to have a problem. You know what I mean?
Everything is good in moderation.
Yeah.
That's why there's a saying you can have there
Did
can
you
be
guys
too much of a
happen to
good thing.
see? Did you guys happen to see Kamala Harris's earrings and her being fed in the microphone? What were you guys' main takeaways tonight in the debate?
It's bullshit. It's fucking dumb.
I thought it was fun. You know, it was
Oh.
entertaining. You know, I mean, I didn't really
No,
expect much more out
no.
of it.
Well, like
Like,
what on the talking points, or even just like what did you notice?
well, I liked you said earlier that Trump did kind of go after Kamala after some stuff, but like I think that he did leave some stuff on the table, like he always does. You know, like he could have really gone after her on maybe more of the. Well, actually, I want to go take a step back before the debate. Like we were talking earlier about like 2030 Agenda 2030. What happened, I think, was in 2016 when he actually won that election. They kind of shit their pants and like accelerated the process. Like Agenda 2030 all of a sudden became like 2024. You know, so especially after they quote unquote won in 2020, they've just like cranked the
Yeah,
wheels
I
even
can see
harder
that.
to make up lost time. So like 2020 or I mean 2030 is out the window. It's already here. You know, this is what they had planned. Like they were going to take their
No,
time,
it's
but
not here.
well, it's close. It's getting close. I
Though,
should
because
not
we
exaggerate,
would
but
have the
yeah,
full we would have the full CBDC like China. See, China is real bad. Where they got the full CBDC, they're living in like a technocratic slave ship. These guys can't pay for their food or go into a buses if they don't have their social credit score high enough. Like they're not even allowed in certain stores if their credit score isn't high enough, which is interesting, meaning like it's a social caste system through actual technology and artificial intelligence. If they throw a piece of paper on the ground, their computers will track it and take away points and take away money and call them out and put them on a sign saying, "Oh, look at shame on this guy," right? Like that's
yeah,
some of the
crazy.
places in China, not all of it. They want that here. I'm trying to picture of Kamala Harris's earring, and there being a brand new Nova earring from the Nova. It's brand new. It's a headset earring and a
Somebody
very
posted that
sharp
picture on the.
one
Somebody
indeed.
posted that picture on the OBDM Discord earlier. I saw it on there. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, it looks. It's yeah. It's she's wearing like clip-on
Yeah,
earpieces, man. Like outside the ear, kind of like they're not like earbuds, but like on the outside of the ear. But it works. You can still hear it, man. I think that she got told to stop one time. Like I don't know if I could rewind it and watch it again right now, but it was
yeah.
fairly early on. She just like seemed like she was kind of starting to rail on Trump, and then they told her to stop because she was just saying such stupid stuff, you know. But she said a lot of that, so I can't remember specifically which stupid thing she was
Yeah,
talking about.
they did that multiple times. They completely cut her off. They let Trump talk, which is cool, and they completely cut her off when she just started rambling. But like this and that, and Trump, they could just tell as an adults, they're like, all right, we had enough of this. Like they didn't even want to like let her speak at all because she wasn't making any sense. Half the time she would just go back to, well, I'm here for the small businesses. I'm like, come on, man. Is that it? Like, are you really that's your only talking point?
Yeah, you guys know
I can't
Booski,
load this.
right?
It's not letting me. Here we go.
You guys know Booski
No.
though, right? No, Booski 11 on like he's on the OBDM Discord. Booski, I think he's like Lifeline.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
my
So like
bad.
the first,
My
like when
bad.
they had
Yeah,
the
yeah,
when they
yeah.
had
I thought you
the
meant like some celebrity.
no, yeah. So when you guys when they had the first debate, Trump and Biden, like we were just watching it live on the Discord, and he was like, "Oh man, if they mention Charlottesville, I'm gonna shotgun a beer." And I was like, "Well, I've never shotgunned a beer, so I'll do it with you anyway. I mean, I guess might as well." And then like Biden mentioned Charlottesville, and then Trump mentioned it too, so we had to shotgun 2 beers that night. And then tonight, he's like, "What are we drinking tonight, dude?" I'm like, "Well, I don't really want to shotgun a beer." So I came up with the craziest thing. I was like, if they actually mention the Haitian cannibalism in the debate, then I'll shotgun a beer. And then he's like, well, how about pets and stuff? I'm like, all right, fine. If they mention pets, I'll shotgun a beer.
That is cannibalism in a sense. Yeah.
It kind of is, but I'm just saying though, like they didn't quite go full cannibalism, and because like I said, I really didn't feel like shotgunning a beer that much. But anyway, it was funny. We had another uh intercontinental beer shotgunning because he's down in South America.
Yeah,
Really enjoy
there's
the.
some pretty interesting earrings because they look exactly like Kamala Harris's. These Nova H1 audio earphones embedded in earrings.
Yeah, they look identical almost. I mean, they're extremely close. I mean, I'm sure you
They
can get
were
different.
100%.
Yeah, different colors or whatever. It's
Dude,
pretty
yeah, they
much.
looked exactly alike. And then, yeah, she probably had something special fitted by the Secret Service.
Well, I saw an ad today for like it was just on my, just popped up like a YouTube ad, but like it was over the ear, kind of like, instead of like an earbud you stick in your ear, it just kind of hangs over your ear and just pretty much does the same thing, but it hangs on the top of your ear, you know? It's definitely technology that exists. I mean, because they're like, oh, it sounds even better than the earbuds you stick inside your ear. Okay, dude, I guess maybe it does.
Speaking of the Agenda 2030, brand new news from September 6th this year. Digital ID will be required from November 2024 on for anyone traveling to European countries. So non-UE travelers will be required to scan their passports, their fingerprints, their facial images when entering and exiting the Schengen area. And yeah, and then there are certain places or in the country right now that you don't want to fly into just because of how weird it is with how much you have to, you know, give up with like your identity. I mean, okay, I mean, yeah, I guess that's not really dangerous, but it's like they're gonna continue on, keep going. That
I'd
this is
almost
just
be
a
better off
start.
flying to like Turkey and walking in from there. Like, I don't think Turkey's that bad as far as, I don't think they hate the Westerners as much as some other Middle Eastern countries, but you could just like maybe fly into a place like that and just catch a ride, hitchhike, man. Seems to be all the
Hey, so
rage.
DTB, if you're in here right here, look, man, guys in Queens with chickens, pigs being tortured in twisted rituals, in the Jamaica Bay. I mean, this could be anybody, but just the rise of immigrants in some of these places. Who knows? He
I was up
said,
in,
there's a quote in
my
here.
bad.
It says, it's continually getting at the animal sacrifices are happening more repeatedly, more times a week. Yeah, what are your comments?
I was up in I think it was Portsmouth, New Hampshire, or like Portland, Maine. They're like they're like right across the border from each other. Portsmouth and Portland. But like, man, this is like 15 years ago, and there were so many Somalis there, and they would just like give you the death stare, like they were just all wearing their same clothes they would wear back home and stuff. And I'm not against immigrants, but just
Whoa. Yo, right here in this article, it states that these might be linked to Hindu devotees who worship the goddess Kali and practice animal sacrifice in the area surrounding the Jamaica Bay. Wow. So and it's happening more and more constant. So the goddess Kali is the goddess of death and goddess of destruction. So they're trying to bring about more destruction and more death for their gains and riches or their pleasure and their mission. Wow. The Post observed the people in this report who were animal rescuers. They were tracking down a trio of piglets that had their ears and tails cut off, roughly 100 feet away from the pair of statuettes of Hindu deities. Man. So it also says followers of other religions whose rituals involve animal sacrifices, such as Santeria and voodoo, also have been known to use beaches and parks around this area in Jamaica Bay. So the report says that this ritual problem might be from a cult of Hindu devotees who are worshiping Kali, the goddess of death and destruction. But I mean, these immigrants coming in from everywhere and just trying to a, uh, make a problem, man. Cause do voodoo magic and talking about the King riots and some of the early riots in in California, right? And these occultists and these witches doing um witchcraft and rituals on these roads where like that riot happened and um in order to implement problems and it worked. And if these cults like are doing rituals and like certain areas in order to cause problems, man, that I can't hear you if you're speaking.
Oh, hey, yeah,
But
I got disconnected. Can you hear me?
well, okay, let's keep going.
Hello?
Yes, now you're there.
Oh, can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Oh, right, man. Well, the thing
I
about it
hear
is
you now.
with these migrants, we have to remember that war is
Yes.
a racket, and like these people have been driven to desperation, so we're driving the worst elements from those countries to our country, and just opening up the border and letting them in. Like, even look at Haiti, how the Clintons took advantage of the Clinton Foundation and like the earthquake, and they just like got a bunch of money sent over there and just took it. I mean, those people that are coming here from there have an axe to grind, and like they're mad at us, like the citizens, but man, we don't like it either. I don't know what we can really do about it, though.
Worldwide, we are in a state of war, whether it's the Israel conflict or the Ukraine conflict. We're on the border of sending troops over to Taiwan to intervene. It's I think it's just a worldwide thing where when like if we understand some of the cultures and some of the religions, like there is this truth I believe to probably like tensions rising up as we get ready for a reset or a end times or something along those lines. Um, right here, just a quick piece of news. Uh, ease our nerves and all the hard hitting subjects we've been going on. Cloud seeding chaos over in China. Underwear is seen everywhere across the city as storm leaves laundry hanging in trees all across China, and from a cloud seeding program. There was the government who um, performed a cloud seeding operation just before all of this happened, and the government was quick to say, "Oh, there was no coincidence." Uh, very, very quickly. It it's kind of funny. Hongqing area of China.
Yeah, man.
Man,
Imagine
that's
impregnating the
also a
clouds with
problem.
your dirty underwear, man. You could totally impregnate the clouds with your dirty underwear. I
I
say,
mean, if they're making
honestly,
the
you could probably
frogs
get people
gay
to
like
pay
Alex
for that, man.
Jones, then
Well, only if you're gay,
if
then
they're
maybe
making the
your underwear would
frogs
make
gay
them gay.
like Alex Jones said, the fluoride is also making people and their ability to understand their own body um backwards, I guess. Over in Japan, a Japanese man died from kidney failure after years being a cross dresser who would stick eyeliner in his backside. He was in his 60s, and it exploded, and it made weird lumps in his insides, and he died. What are people doing over there in Japan?
Man,
There's a lot
honestly,
more to this, but it is insane. Um, what are, like, if you look at all these, what people are saying about the OnlyFans and the people who are doing things for money these days, and how and what they're selling, and what they're doing with their products. People are getting out of hand. There's a lot of adult actresses and adult film stars who are dying, and people with the internet are doing stupider and stupider stuff. But that's more sin, like we expect in the end times.
well, the ones that come around and turn their back on it get shunned. Like the ones that are like, "Oh, it's really not that great." They're dropped like a hot potato, and I don't know, man. It's yeah, the whole industry is based on sin and debauchery, and I don't know. I do believe in good storytellers. There's some good movies that get made out there, but Hollywood's just trash these days, and they just don't have the balls to make a good movie. They just want to keep making the same things over and over.
Yeah, I've watched a few good movies this year. Let's see. I mean, the Godzilla one, it was kind of just like washed out. I watched the Planet of the Apes, the new one. That was all right. The one that was okay. It was the not Men in Black. What is it? Freaking with Lawrence Taylor, Martin Lawrence, and Will Smith. Bad Boys. Bad Boys.
Yeah, Bad Boys.
That
I
one
was
was
gonna say
pretty
Boys.
good.
Did you see the Barbie movie,
Yeah,
man?
I mean, there isn't really too much good movies.
Did you see the Barbie
Nah, I didn't
movie?
watch Barbie, or I watched Oppenheimer a little bit. I tried to. No, I didn't watch
Well, they
Barbie,
were both
dude.
in the theater at
I
the
didn't
same
watch no
time, and I
Barbie.
swear, dude, I saw Barbie with my wife. Man, Barbie movie, give it an honest chance. I thought it was good. I thought it was good. It was like
Yeah,
actually kind of
yeah. I'm not
original
gonna
and
give up.
creative, and
That's good.
it wasn't really too gay either. Like it kind of
I'm not gonna watch no Barbie movie.
no. Listen, hear it out. Well, the thing about it is, it really did have a lot of good visuals and stuff.
That sentence, bro. You're like, it's not too gay. It's like,
Well, I was gonna say it could have been a lot gayer. Think about it. It's Barbie, and they could have just totally turned it up to 11. But it was actually like more about like the relationship between men and women. If you actually watch it, I think the moral of the story was actually pretty good because like Barbie's kind of a stuck-up bitch, and she realizes that by the end of it, and like Ken's kind of like frustrated because like he never gets laid. I mean, they don't have genitals. It's a funny movie, man. You just got to watch the movie,
watch
man.
the. No, I honestly watch clips of it in certain parts, like, and it kind of looks silly, funny, dumb. But nah, man.
Well, there's no CGI, so it's like
I
actually
watched.
people acting and
I watched
dancing and
the.
stuff. It's all right. I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually.
I watched that Deadpool. The Deadpool Wolverine. That thing was pretty sweet. I like that movie.
Yeah, I should check that one out. I mean, that's
Did
kind
you
of on
happen to
my
watch
list. But
that?
no, I haven't
Uh,
seen it yet. I got to check it out soon.
oh, dude, that was awesome. Yeah, they Hugh Jackman kicked ass, dude. At 50 some years old, he looks shredded and ripped, and people are all thinking he's on steroids, but he definitely got into a Wolverine shape, and it was good to see him in a role like that, having
Pretty much, if
fun,
he's on
and
steroids.
it definitely looked like yeah, I hear all the celebrities are on steroids, and definitely
Well, if you just did
not
it for
Dwayne
a
the Rock
movie.
Johnson.
Well, from what I understand, you can kind of get away with doing it a little bit once in a while. You
Right.
wouldn't want to do them all the time, but I mean, I'm not even recommending it for anybody listening. I mean, there's better ways to get shredded, but I mean, you know, hey man,
I
if
think I'm
you're
gonna take your advice.
getting paid $50 million to make a movie, I mean, I might kind of roid
Yeah,
up
you
a
know
little bit
what?
myself.
Yeah, man, that's what all these actors are doing, and getting a little bit of Botox in their lips and a little liposuction in their hips. Hey, all
Well,
right,
at that age,
for
there's
a
got to
couple
be some kind of
$100 million, I'll do
testosterone
it.
replacement, though. I mean, there's got to be some testosterone replacement at that age. You
Nah, you
know,
could just inject it with the steroid mix. Make your home brew testosterone and steroid mix in a vial. Boom, or in a
yeah.
syringe. No, I don't know. I don't know if that is even possible. But hey, so China's super radar detects plasma bubble over the pyramids of Giza, which is interesting. So, I listen to Earth Ancients podcast with Cliff Dunning, and he constantly has on guests from Egypt and researchers from around the world who are studying archaeology and ancient history, ancient religion, and these topics about our ancient past. And on there, they discuss that like the pyramids of Giza, some of them actually have some resonance to them. Not really like as much as you would expect if it's fully working, like how Dr. Sam Osmanagic explains in the Bosnian pyramids. But there are still some active functioning abilities to these pyramids, which makes a lot of sense with why certain countries want to hide their pyramids. Russia, China, places like in these deep Indonesia, India, and probably some of the others you never really see too much about them.
Have you ever
Even
heard of the one in
America, some of
France?
these
There's one in Nimes, France, like in Nimes, like
n-
outside of the city Nimes.
no.
Yeah, it's like, I
Um,
mean, the best article I could ever find on it was in French, so I could only understand like 70 or 80% of it, But it's been a while since I've
it's
read it,
okay.
so
AI can totally decipher that these days. Yeah, if you find that
yeah,
article
sure.
again, AI can make 100% of that page into English.
Yeah, I'll try to find it again and send you the link. But anyway, there's like just
Yeah,
it was just
post
covered
it in
in
the
a lot of
Discord, and everybody
foliage
join the
and
Discord.
yeah, sure, I'll try to find it and put it in there. But just basically like the thing about it that's controversial is they want to hide the fact that it's possible that certain people lived in Africa and built the pyramids there and then moved off from there and then built them elsewhere. I think they were built everywhere at the same time, is my kind of hypothesis anyway. Like people of all different colors were building pyramids everywhere at one time. I don't think it was so much like I think they want to protect like they're making it
You
political and racial. I think it was kind of like a white supremacist website that I found the information on. Saudi. Yeah.
Um, do you think that some of these pyramids and some of these ancient structures might have um abilities to host like other entities and spacecraft above it? Uh
Well, to
these
transmit
may be
power,
home to
maybe. Yeah.
extraterrestrials and other dimensional.
I think they're at least able to transport or transmit power, transmit energy. And then maybe, I don't want to make it sound like Star Trek, but like maybe house an entity or beam an entity around, or if there's energy trapped in there, then it could possibly house like a thing like that, I guess.
Will, have you watched Skinwalker Ranch at all? Any of the technology or any of the things that are going on there, where there's like actual space in the area that's like colder, and then they put it under thermal, and there's like different ions to it, and there's parts in reality where there's 1000% different looks or ability or like visuals or different something to the physics that's completely different, and that's what is around some of these ancient areas too. um I kind of think that some of these areas are definitely home to other entities, possibly.
Well, yeah, like if somebody built a monument there, it might just be a monument in the area that has the energetic field that would house something like that.
Well, okay, so have you watched the Skinwalker Ranch things?
No, not very much, honestly.
Okay,
Just
there's also another one called Bradshaw Ranch. I watched the documentary last week, and it is very, very fascinating. Both of those together, they're around the same area of like 100, maybe 100, 200. I don't know. They're close in the same states, and um, I believe that what we're also hearing about the places like Bermuda Triangle, there are other entities and crafts, and yeah, these crafts and other entities are like causing dimensional shifts and um you know malfunctions, right? And they're the creators of this technology and the archaeology, like, or the ancestors, or like counter, or maybe ancestors, or somewhat near relative to the creators of this technology, like the pyramids, like maybe Gobekli Tepe, or like the Sound Garden, Sound Temple of Malta, and places like this.
yeah, it's possible. Like I've gotten some weird things in my news feed lately. Like one was that like, oh, humans almost went extinct 800,000 years ago, and I'm like, well, that wasn't the only time. And if that was 800,000 years ago, think of the technology people might have had back then that would just be completely erased by now. Like 800,000 years is a long time, even for like a pyramid to stand up. So I just think that it's been a repeating cycle for a long time. And of course, yeah, there's energy everywhere. And, you know, like they say that Stonehenge is supposedly built out of, like there's a certain day of the year that it just vibrates with a resonance that if you touch the stones, it'll kind of heal you or whatever. I'm not sure how
Hmm.
true that is, but I
Yeah.
mean, like, but there's like an underground river underneath stuff like that too. Like, there's an underground river that kind of is almost the same shape, and they're like, well, how did they know there was a river down there? It's like, well, I don't know. They just knew there was energy at least.
Well, yeah, there's been maps and stories of things, and we've been able to venture and find these. Right here with this um plasma ball pyramids, what it says is that China had built one of the most powerful radars recently, and it detected plasma bubbles appearing over the Egyptian pyramids and the Midway Islands, and it's very interesting. They're in low altitude regions, and the plasma bubble are causing an appearance of change particles in the ionosphere, and so it just looks very interesting. Like, if I could reference it to you as far as what I think, it's kind of like how this Bradshaw Ranch documentary on YouTube. You can watch it for free. It's called The Mysteries of Bradshaw Ranch, and even the Skinwalker Ranch videos, they describe kind of something similar to like what I think is happening here. Um, there you can see technology is getting great enough that the different physics in reality change at real time, and which is why I think that like these ghost hunting shows, they're not, man. They can't be all of them can't be BS.
No, there's so many of them. I think that there's got to be at least some truth to some of them. I mean, they have to put out a certain amount of episodes a year, so there's going to be some stuff that's like they might have to embellish some things, but uh, I just think that stuff like that. Honestly, when I was a kid, I wanted to see ghosts and stuff, but I never really did. You know, but at the same time, it doesn't mean I don't believe they're possible. You know, I mean, I've seen actually like I've had like night terrors and stuff like dreams where I've seen stuff that was so vivid that I was convinced that it had to be some outside force or some outside entity communicating with me, you know. The one was like a sleep paralysis. I'll try to make it quick, but like this guy came into my house and I was just like paralyzed on the couch, and like he got to my desk and he's like shuffling papers around. I just wanted to remember one thing, and I asked him where he was from. He said he was from Lincolnville, Ohio, which is a town of like 200 people I'd never heard of before. You know, like I looked it up when I woke up. I was like, I just typed it into my phone and went back to sleep. And then like when I woke up, I looked it up, and sure enough, there's actually a town named Lincolnville, Ohio. And it kind of like made me think that there actually had to be some kind of outside entity trying to communicate with me, or he was just looking for something. Like maybe he had lived in the house before or something. But I definitely believe that there's
Trying to
some
play
other
pocket pole with you.
energies out there or other forces. I'm sorry.
Nothing. Nothing. I was making a joke. I said he was trying to play pocket pool with you at midnight. You know, these spirits, man. They can communicate. They're these whatever they are, entities or things, especially if you live in a electromagnetic area or place, or you are electromagnetic conduit yourself. You know, you can put yourself in different frequencies and vibrations and open yourselves up to these paranormal experiences. There's training into it, but it's also a natural ability. I think it's something that we have experienced for a lifetime as far as humanity. When you know, whenever we first existed, like we can either choose to accept it or ignore it, I guess, and it's been that way creation. Just a quick rest in peace here for James Earl Jones, Darth Vader. He recently died. Man, wasn't there a Mandela effect about like Luke, I'm your father, and now it doesn't say that?
No, yeah, that's he. Yeah, so like it's been done so many times in the popular culture where like people say, "Luke, I am your father," that people just think that's what he really said. But no, he just says, "No, I am your father," because like Luke confronts him and he's like, "No, I am your father," is what he's saying. He doesn't say, "Luke, I am your father." He says, "No, I am your father." You know, but like since it's been rehashed so many times by people making like parodies or whatever jokes about that, it just yeah.
I got the old school VHSs, and I'm gonna play them, and I'm gonna watch them, and I'm gonna see. And if it says Luke, I am your father, I'm gonna flip out because I'm starting to think that that Shazam movie is really real, dude. That there's a real reason. So okay, dude. So
I kind
you
of remember
know,
that one
people like
too,
to say
man. I could have
that
swore it
he,
was true too, man. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I
yeah,
got
because
your back.
I remember people talking about it as a kid. They're like, "Oh, that Shazam movie is sweet," but okay, uh, I don't know if you had watched. There was this interview that he had done with a radio show, Sinbad, and it was recent. People are saying, "Oh, he's a comedian, he's joking, and learn how to take a joke." But those are, I'm not. I wouldn't really trust those people who are saying that to
Well, I mean, I
call out
trust some of
war
the.
if war. So what that interview was saying, sorry, for taking so long. So what that interview with Sinbad, he's like, yeah, man, I remember making that movie back in the day. I was offered money for it. I needed it. I was doing a whole bunch of drugs at the time, and I was really high, and I thought it was gonna be a good movie, and that's what Sinbad was saying in this interview, right? And so he said, like, that movie was real, and it was you can see in that movie, like, he looked like he was just like on everything, on drinking, on all drugs, just having fun, just
Yeah.
just energetic out of his tweaked out of his mind, right? And it was interesting to see. Like, he also had stated in that interview, he's like, "Yeah, I'm an ex-military, and I had the help of the government. We had to do a whole bunch of work to get that movie expunged and deleted because you know, what I don't know what I don't know exactly what he had said. Why, I don't even know if he had mentioned why they wanted it deleted, but he wanted it gone, right? And they wanted it gone. So he had said, like, people, they have they have agencies to track down that movie and kill people for that movie. And if anybody has that movie, be warned, like, that movie can cost you your life. And it's interesting because, like, people don't know this is real. This is real. But in Nevada, like, it is probably the stupidest thing to do to just stay there and live there if you're a curious person. Because if you live within a certain 5 to 10 or 15 miles and in the wrong direction around the certain bases, uh and you have your phone and camcorder and everything out, and you're constantly recording, and you're seeing everything that they're doing up in the sky, not even at their base, like, you're just recording the sky, and you can get imprisoned, you can have everything expunged or get killed, like multiple people have over there, in area 51, and that surrounding area, just by living there. They the government doesn't play about some of these things. And that was an interesting thing that Sinbad was saying. He's like, yeah, the government will go into the house, and they'll kill you, take the movie, destroy the movie, and pretty much a lot of the copies have already been destroyed, which kind of brings up an interesting idea of how these technologies have been, like, signaling things like locations and everything, and for a long time. I'm guessing ever since, like, the spawn of the 90s, 80s, maybe. A lot of these things have been chipped, and whenever it's activated or turned on, the agencies know.
Well, I'll say even like the V
Yeah,
chips in
that's
the TVs. I don't
big,
know. I
big.
don't know if you're old enough to remember when they put the V chips in the TVs in the late '90s, early 2000s, like
No,
for like the parental controls, or like to make sure kids weren't seeing violent stuff on TVs. Basically, they had like they called it the V chip. I can't remember what it stood for, but it's pretty much like surveillance has a V in it. So I guess. But I remember it being like a lot of people resisted that because it was like they would be able to see what you're watching on your TV, basically, even without the internet. Because like it still wasn't connected to the internet, but your TV receiver would be able to distinguish what was appropriate for children or not. But like still, people knew that was the writing on the wall, is they're going to be able to see what you're doing later, and it's come to fruition. Can't really deny it now. I mean, I remember it was almost probably 10, 15 years ago. I saw the CEO of a TV company saying that they sell TVs for $250, like big screen TVs, because they just sell your information. They sell the TV for cost, like even below cost, but they make their money back from like Roku and stuff like that. They make their money back from, I can't remember the exact CEO I'm talking about, but that's how those companies operate, is they make the money on the back end. So yeah, we're nothing but surveilled now, and you get a new phone for $200. It's like, yeah,
And
they're
what's interesting about
watching
these
everything.
technologies, it right. That every year we get an update in these technologies, and the whole time they've been like third generation tested and held back in the private sector, where these private military companies and private organizations who have billions and trillions of dollars and who are doing aerospace research or nanotechnology research and things like that. There's 40 years, 50 years advanced ahead of the common public, right? Because it has to go through government regulations, and who's testing it? Well, the highest of the government agencies and their most trusted associates, and it's probably been that way, where if they started chipping the TVs and everything in the public in '90s and late thousands or early thousands, maybe the '90s, then they probably had that going on uh, for a lot longer. Maybe '70s, the '60s. Maybe ever since the invention of the video game, consoles, the arcades, and everything.
Oh,
Um,
sure. Well, yeah, they
Real
would
quick, right here
definitely.
from
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm good.
I'll
Go
go
ahead.
on.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I was gonna say something just kind of like just about like old video games and stuff.
15
Like they would just watch how
said,
people play them and stuff. But
oh yeah. All right, man. Saskatoon, Canada, 14-year-old girl sets 15-year-old girl classmate on fire. Um Insane. The girl dies, I believe, and
mm.
the other girl's in custody. It happened during lunch, and oh no, the girl didn't die, thank God. But those serious injuries. Insane. Insane. I remember when I was in school, uh there was a kid who stabbed another kid in the leg with a pencil, just straight with a pencil, just shredded his leg in just one stab, just went right through. And surprised he didn't get like lead poisoning and die, but he pulled it out immediately and had to go to the hospital. Probably got a little sick, but grew up to be a man. Maybe these guys, these people these days, they're setting
Dude,
people on
girls
fire, man.
girls are the worst. I mean, like when I was in high school, there was a few fights with boys that would fight each other, but like, man, there was like so many more girl fights that like when the teachers would go to break up, the girls would start beating up the teachers and stuff. Just like I don't know, man. Girls just are nastier, man. And like every girl I've ever known will admit that too. By the way.
Yeah, yeah. Girls have become psychotic. I don't know. There's this trend where some girls are thinking that like bipolar disorder is real princessy and like real being stingy and having a snobby attitude is cool, and girls having this like uh complex to control
They
is
just want attention. Yeah, yeah,
mature
that
and
too. Yeah, the control, but also the wanting attention.
yeah, and being able to cheat on their spouse and being it's just that's what girls do these days. Um, it's about it's happening all around the world in all sectors though. YouTube limits fitness video recommendations for teens in Europe, trying to protect body image perception. No, you can't see fit people because it's gonna make you want to be like them, and that's not realistic. And wow, they're trying to keep people from being in shape and fit. Very interesting. Very interesting. Next up, this this is a main topic right here. Watch how this robot starts moving from a mushroom. Yeah,
Oh, it's the
you heard that
mushroom one. I
right.
never
A
really watched
mushroom
that.
controls this robot. Yeah. Huh?
I've heard like the human brain's kind of somewhat related
Say
to
again?
fungus, you know. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, well, we have a whole bunch. Yes, we have a whole bunch of receptors, and we have uh, a brain system that works like mushrooms, and a network of mycelium and different fibrous type of filaments and nerves. The glia and synapses. Yeah, like mushrooms in our brain work very closely together, symbiotically, and very much alike each other. Let's watch this video, guys. Um, let's get everybody on the knowledge that we got right here. I think personally, I think that here soon we're gonna see a robot controlled by a mushroom, and I swear I've seen that on a anime before, but or like a cartoon. But of course, cartoons predict everything. Check it out. Check it out. Not sure why I just stopped after 4 seconds, but the 30-minute video. There you go.
It's 4:20 p.m. Do you know where your mushroom is? You went for a walk.
The fungal network attached to the roots of mushrooms called mycelium has grown into the electronics and is stimulated by sensors that can read light above. The light then transfers its ions and its I don't know, electricity and energy back into the wires to the mushroom. The mushroom reads it and reads the rest of the body and triggers impulses to figure out where to go.
So does it try to
Very
run into
interesting.
the sun
They're
or
probably
run
gonna
away from
adapt
the
it to
sun?
heat. No idea. I mean, it only has 5 legs, so it only it's very limited. Billy Bob right here, Billy Bob, the mushroom robot, is very limited in his movement. Seems like, maybe in year 2 he might gain some mobility where he can jump like the DARPA robot that they're working on. Another robot that's actually pretty advanced at the moment is the Optimus 3 robot. Have you seen the the Tesla Optimus 3 and the abilities that's going on with their robots?
No, I haven't seen that. I'm
Here,
sorry.
I'll
Can you
show
hear me
you.
okay? Or
Yeah, you're good.
all right.
I believe they'll be ready by this year, next year, or they already are. They're already allowed. They just here we go. No sun appeared. Where is it? It was pretty. It was pretty. Yeah, these robots are only going to cost $20,000, dude. That like for the elderly, for the people who are going to need it, for the handicapped or disabled. Um, it's going to be a game changer, man. It's gonna help out a lot of disabled folks who are going to need this. Here, let's see what oh, that's not it. I just seen the video. Um, this it. Hmm. All right. Well, here's another piece of news. While I look for that, man arrested after killing 80 animals in shooting spree in California. A man went on a shooting spree like no other. He was mad at all the pigs or Escobar's hippos. Insane, dude. This happened in Prunedale, which is about 100 miles south of San Francisco. I should have read this when DTB was here. Man. Um, a shelter in place order was put into effect while officers searched a 5-mile radius as the shooting happened. A SWAT team made contact with the suspect after a police drone revealed an individual in the area who had crashed the vehicle. Arroyo was arrested and thrown into custody with no questions asked. It was discovered that Arroyo had killed approximately 80 animals, including miniature horses, goats, rabbits, guinea pigs, chickens, ducks, other type of birds. Insane.
Well, this guy
This guy
sounds like
was
a
on
real piece of
a
work,
animal
man.
spree. Dude, lock this guy up forever. But you know what? With the Democratic National Party that's going on, or the Democrats, he'll be out by next week, man.
You know, Joseph, what
He
concerns
might
me
have a
the most
book
about it,
too. They
though,
might
like,
sponsor a book.
but what concerns me the most is it says it was like a 3-hour spree. Like, how long did it take them to arrive after he started just gunning down these animals, or how long did it take after people called for the cops to show up? You know, like that's what kind of bothers me. You know, they just knew it was a crazy guy and they just didn't want a piece of it, or
Right? Yeah. You know what? At first they called, within 30 minutes, the officers like, sorry, it's no issue, no big deal. Then
no,
an
it's just
hour went
animals.
by,
You get new
we
animals,
might
no
check it
big
out.
deal.
Who knows?
Yeah, bunch of
Wow,
losers, man.
yeah, it's the area that they're DTB would probably know more, but it probably is like the state of the cops. They're like, oh yeah, we'll send someone out there here in a couple hours. Did you guys go out there? Did someone go? Nope, no one went. All right, well, we'll go in a bit, and then they go get some donuts or something.
Yeah, I
Man,
mean, I'm not
donuts
even
be pretty good
100%
these
against
days. I'll be
cops.
real.
You know, I'm not even totally against cops. I get along with them just fine around here, you know, but like you hear enough stories that yeah, I could totally imagine some
No, it's
cops just
just
be
I've
like,
been
"Oh,
talking
who
about these
cares?"
this,
You know?
these areas,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. Over there,
in
like
certain areas though, for sure. It's in certain areas the cops are either like shit, and then in certain areas the cops are actually pretty. Like they're chill, they're cool, but like just depends. It depends the city. San Francisco is one of those cities that you just don't want to be in at late night, past midnight. Yeah,
well, like
that's how
even
I
here, the
felt in
sheriffs are
Portland,
cool.
man.
Like the,
Like I
I'd rather deal
just,
with the
oh,
sheriffs
dude.
than the city cops, man. Like the sheriffs are way better than the city cops. You know, because you can vote for the sheriff, you know, or like
Well,
they're kind of more responsible.
it says that it said the sheriffs say that it took a long time because it was a 5-mile radius, you know, probably like wilderness
Oh,
that
okay.
they were searching, extremely dark, and there was thick vegetation. So
But that's a lot of
yeah, if it was like a
territory, man.
foresty, wooded, sagebrushy area, yeah,
All right,
five
I'll
miles,
take it for face
dude.
value then.
This year I was earlier this year, I was hiking with my dog, and the stupidest thing by me was that I did not have a leash. I didn't have leashes. I had them in my hands, and then I set them down before I left. And then I got to the hike, and I was like, "Oh man, I left them right by the door." And
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, you know what? I trust my dogs." So I take my dogs on the hike. I take them on the walk, and they were good for like 60% of the hike. And my girl dog was fine. She was good. She's a little bit older, and she's the mother. She was fine. She did not like trip out or anything. She stayed right by my foot because I told her, I was like, "Hey, stay on my foot," and she did. The boy dog was kind of like here and there, kind of just like he would stay, but he would also be a little bit further out. And jogger was coming down, and he scared the living daylights out of my little boy dog. And the dude, my boy dog, ran like 2 to 3 miles down the hill,
Damn.
another like half mile, another mile, yeah, another half mile or mile to my car from the hiking start point, because I was on a
But you
hike.
found
I
the
was
car at
full
least,
hike,
right?
man.
That's funny. You just ran into the car though.
Well, hear me, bro. He might have found my car. I don't know. I went to my car with my dog Misty. He's right by me. She was following, and I get to my car and he's not there. I'm like, oh shit! And I start looking around, start going everywhere, and they're like, people around, like, yeah, we kind of seen him. He went this way, and then he might be around here. Just stick around for a little bit. And so I start going around asking people, and then there was a house right across the street from the hike, and there was this rancher, and he's like, yeah, I seen it. I gave him some water, and he started drinking some water, and then he took off again. And this hike in this rancher's house where it was about like a mile down from the river, and the river was pretty big, pretty wide. And along the river there was a whole bunch of sagebrush, and it was just a wide area, not like huge open land area. And so I started searching, uh, around the river all the way up to the hike site, back and forth. Along the river, when you keep going, there was like canyon ish areas. Like there was just you know cliffs and hills and all sorts of like different formations. And so I was having to search these areas. And I spent like 3 hours walking like 6 miles, dude, um, looking for the dog. And eventually, he, I had some of my family come out, and they were trying to help me find the dog too. And you know, I think either one of us said it or I said it. Who, I don't remember who, but I was like, you know what? Let's just go check up here. Let's see if he's up here. And sure enough, my dog was he was up in this area, and he saw me, started running to me, dude. It was insane. A 5 mile radius there. Yeah, definitely can take a couple hours, dude. 3 hours.
Oh,
That's
for sure, man.
that's pretty much exactly how long it took me to find my dog. It was a 3 hour intermission, 3 hour like time period that I was looking for my dog, and I literally walked like 6 miles. So yeah, I could see this 100%.
Yeah, I got this new neighbor a few houses down that her dog's come over here a few times, just like a little rat terrier kind of dog, like I'm not sure exactly what kind of dog, but like a little kind of tunneling dog. Like it gets out from under the fence and comes over here. I just take her home.
All right. Really weird deep sea dark oxygen discovery raises question about alien life. About 12,000 feet beneath the Pacific Ocean surface, the Clarion Clipperton Zone, which consists of ancient rocks millions of years old, blanket the seafloor. Although these rocks may appear lifeless, nestled between the nooks and crannies on the surface, tiny sea creatures and microbes make their home. many uniquely adapted to the life in the dark. These deep sea rocks, called polymetic nodules, don't only host a surprising number of sea critters. A team of scientists, include Boston University experts, have discovered that they also produce oxygen on the seafloor. The discovery is a surprise, considering oxygen is typically created by plants and organisms with help from the sun, not by rocks on the ocean floor. About half of all the oxygen we breathe is made near the surface of the ocean by phytoplankton that photosynthesize just like land dwelling plants. Since the sun is needed to carry out photosynthesis, finding oxygen production at the bottom of the sea where there is no light flips conventional wisdom on its head. It was so unexpected that scientists involved in the study first thought it was a mistake. This was really weird because no one had ever seen it before. As an expert in microbes that live in the most extreme habitats on Earth, like hardened lava and deep sea hydrothermal vents, Marlowe initially suspected that microbial activity could be responsible for making oxygen. The research team used deep sea chambers that land on the seafloor and enclose the seawater, sediment and polymetic nodules, and living organisms inside a bubble. They then measure how oxygen levels change in the chambers over 48 hours. If there are plentiful organisms breathing oxygen, then the levels would normally decline depending on how much animal activity is present in the chamber. But in this case, oxygen was increasing. We did a lot of troubleshooting and found that the oxygen levels increased many more times following the initial measurement. He and his colleagues were aboard a research vessel tasked with learning more about the ecology of the CCZ, which spans 1.7 million square miles between Hawaii and Mexico, for an environmental survey sponsored by the Metals Company, a deep sea mining firm interested in extracting the rocks en masse for metals. After running on board the vessel, Marlowe and the team, led by Andrew Sweetman of the Scottish Association for Marine Science, concluded the phenomena isn't primarily caused by microbial activity, despite the abundance of many different types of microbes around the rocks. Polymetic nodules are made of rare metals including copper, nickel, cobalt, iron, and manganese, which is why companies are interested in mining them. It turns out, according to the study, that those densely packed metals are like triggering seawater electrolysis. This means that metal ions in the rock layers are distributed unevenly, creating a separation of electrical charges, just like what happens inside of a battery. This phenomena creates enough energy to split water molecules into oxygen and hydrogen. They named this dark oxygen since it's oxygen made with no sunlight. What remains unclear is the exact mechanism of how this happens. If oxygen levels vary across the CCZ, and if the oxygen plays a significant role in sustaining the local ecosystem, the metal company calls polymetic nodules a battery in a rock, and its website states that mining them could accelerate the transition to battery powered electric vehicles, and claim mining on land would eventually no longer be necessary. So far, mining in the CCZ is exploratory, but the United Nations International Seabed Authority, which manages the area, could start making decisions about mining as year. The metals company is working with the Pacific states of Nauru, Tonga, and Kiribati to gain access to the mining licenses, but many other nations in the South Pacific, including Palau, Fiji, and Tuvalu, have vocally supported a moratorium or a pause to mining plans. Environmental activist groups like Greenpeace and Ocean Conservancy are calling for a permanent ban, and opponents of the operations fear it could cause irreversible damage to the seafloor. In the meantime, scientists have begun studying the potential impacts of disturbing a largely unexplored ecosystem. Yeah, when they try to mine like ancient ecosystems, things go bad, real bad. we don't know the full implications, but to me, finding this suggests that we should deeply consider what is altering these systems and what it would do to the animal community if we mine them. The CCZ is also a perfect environment to study the planet's smallest organisms, such as bacteria and archaea, found in sediments and on the nodules. Marlowe and his co-author Peter Schroeder, a PhD in BU's ecology, behavior, and evolution program, are especially focused on using microbes found in extreme environments like the CCC, such as templates for finding single-celled life on other planets and moons, since deserts, volcanoes, and seafloor vents are the most similar places we have to Mars and Saturn's many moons. This is called astrobiology, a field that seeks to inform the search for extraterrestrial life by studying Earth's systems. Life in environments like the CCC provides an opportunity to study ecosystems that developed under distinct evolutionary pressures and constraints like uh, I guess we would never find on Earth. Very interesting. These conditions, the depth, pressure, and aquatic environment, are analogous to conditions we have measured or expect to discover on icy moons. For example, Jupiter's moons, Enceladus, and Saturn's moons, Europa, are covered with layers of ice with no sunlight reaching that water trapped underneath. If these rocks are under the ice making oxygen, that could allow a more productive biosphere to exist. If photosynthesis isn't required to make oxygen, then other planets with oceans and metal rich rocks like these nodules could sustain a more evolved biosphere than we possibly thought in the past. Hmm. For the most part, we think of the deep sea as a place where decaying material falls down and animals eat the remnants, but this is recalibrating our idea. It helps us to see the deep sea as a place of production, similar to what we have found with methane seeps and hydrothermal vents that create oases for marine animal and microbes. I think it's fun to see an inversion on how we tend to think about the deep sea. There's plenty of questions to continue asking, Marlowe says, about what the dark oxygen discovery means for extraterrestrial oceans and our own. I had no idea that there were other ways to make oxygen because I always wondered, I'm like, man, they're like, I thought in some type of on through vents or chambers or things, but to see it like uh, uh, being produced in that level, that's interesting. It does make you think that maybe. Hmm. Are you there? You still there? That's good.
Ah,
What'd you think? Yeah, there you go. Now I can hear you. What'd you
hey,
think
yeah,
about
all
that?
right.
The dark oxygen.
It's pretty cool, actually. Have you ever heard of Roger Spur? He's like
Yeah, I can hear.
he does a Mud Fossil University, and like just kind of he believes that light's a particle, and like everything is actually made of light. Just a like light is actually itself the building block of everything. So I don't know. It's kind of
Right, but without light, there's still oxygen being made down here there without these. Yeah, and it's interesting too that there's life sustaining like we're not the only intelligent species. Definitely not.
right. But no, this guy's going so far as to say that
There
all
are other
matter
intelligent
is made
species
of
out there. It's
light.
just
But that guy's saying it's like all matter is made of light. 'Cause light itself is a particle, not like a ray of light. It's a particle. It's kind of like it's not like what Einstein would tell you is what's going on, but it's I don't know. It's kind of compelling because it actually does kind of make sense, like because what the CERN, like the particle colliders, they're doing is like trying to take a picture of what happens when you smash particles, and like they take a picture of the light that comes off of it, and then you just see like the two little, like the little bit of black, like dark matter. Like they can actually take a picture of dark matter now. Uh, he's just saying like it's all light and dark matter. It's just that it gets separated. The dark part gets separated
Yeah,
when it comes
that
to
whole
the other.
research about dark matter is definitely is interesting too. I mean, we're even able to research these new ways of like atoms and protons. They're called the muons, right? The muons that we're firing through space through these particle colliders to
Yeah,
figure out the density of an area, and they're able to actually pass through objects, which is very interesting. Very interesting stuff. The level of technology is getting pretty powerful. So about I was talking about those Optimus robots. Here is the level as of April 2024. What you're about to see mode. So he
it
has
makes
two robots. Elon Musk has two robots in his factory, and
it makes me think about the old saying about skydiving.
what was that?
Like why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? Why would I need robots when there's perfectly good people around? Yeah, robots are just creepy to me.
What do you mean? I don't get it.
Well, there's so many good people around. I mean, you could just hire a person to do whatever the robot's doing, man. I don't know. Plenty of people. We don't. I don't know.
Bro, people don't even want to live. They want to be trained and slaves. There's another portion of the world that doesn't want to interact with society or technology, and they want to go and live in the forest. There's another portion of society that doesn't even want to reproduce or work. They want everything handed to them. Uh, they or they want to work for sex organizations and drug organizations and they're like completely anti-human, and there's a big like the amount of good people in this world that are good isn't as big as we think, and like the need for productive individuals, you know it, it's high probably. But I understand that that we could probably treat our society better, but it's not going to happen. Like there's always this world is a world of sin. Like ever since the dawn of humanity, like we have of like the fallen angels, the fallen ones, or whatever it may be, the snakes in the garden, the reptiles, like the evil that's been here controlling us, mating with our women, these, whatever it is, like whatever these giants, whatever the heck it is, like what this evil's been here, so sin's been here, and it's like it's never just gonna completely go away, I don't think.
Well, I just think like
Um
here's my opinion with God and Satan.
so
Even
these robots, these robots are these robots are gonna
well, I just don't know
like
how
these
many
robots are definitely
robots they're
gonna
gonna
help.
need.
And these are all technology is like satanic, but I don't think all. But I do think things can be used for the bad by the bad people, though. Yes.
Well, the bigger the machine gets, once all the machines are linked together, that's
And
kind of I
here's
think is the problem.
Here's Boston Dynamics robot that they unveiled this year. Let me rewind this back to the start. Around the same time, April, this year, the Optimus videos of them performing tasks. Well, here's Boston Dynamic robot.
Yeah, I mean, how's that not creepy?
Yeah, and like those AI female AI robots over in Japan, or even just like humanoid robots, that they look really real. These things are pretty advanced. Man, I can't find that video. Wish I could. Yo, it's been about 2.5 hours. You want to keep going? You want to?
No, it's probably about bedtime for me, buddy. But yeah, it's cool being on here and talking
Yeah,
about stuff, man.
heck yeah. Perfect timing. I'm tired. I want to get to it too. Man, it's been it's been a good talk. We kind of had a feeling that the whole presidential debate thing was going to be a lot of bickering by Kamala. She was going to like try to downplay anything serious by ignoring it, and then try to gaslight Donald Trump by just saying false and dumb things. There wasn't really anything too surprising and shocking. Um,
Yeah, I thought
yeah,
it was kind of fun to
except I think
watch. I
some
mean,
of the
it's just like a.
questions were like direct.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just feel like some of the questions, more of the questions were directed to undercutting Donald Trump, and the fact checkers were definitely more against him. Whereas for Kamala, then they kind of threw her some hard questions, but they didn't really press her too much. But they shut her up a lot. They did not allow her to talk.
Yeah, I'm glad they at least let Trump talk some. It wasn't that bad. I mean, they didn't make it so obviously bad that they were just shutting Trump down. At least that I think everybody can walk away happy. Like Kamala didn't look too stupid, and Trump didn't look too shut down. So at least you know it is what it is. They're trying to keep the election close so people spend more money on the advertising. So the people donate to the parties.
Yeah, and they're not trying to get too involved in the serious topics because people would then understand the game plan of these big wigs and the agendas, and how like they're both part of the Project 2025, and they're both part of the Agenda 2030, and they're both like orchestrating our society in two different paths towards the same area, towards the same goal. Um, hey, with
Yeah.
that, dude, let's go ahead and get out of here. Let let's go ahead and say Donald Trump won that match because Kamala's a drunk baboon. And what if you have any last messages? Let them know.
Oh no, man, just sleep tight, brother.
All right, man. Hey, you guys have a wonderful night. All right, if you guys would donate to my Cash App or donate to my PayPal at 509 Divine Pines, you can check out all my links below. You can go over to Okazi Clothing for Demon Slayer and anime inspired shirts, shorts, gym bags, all the cool things. Use coupon code 509 Divine Pines. You could also go to WGG for a natural energy drink powder that is premium, and they work with internet gamers and e-teams and gaming competition teams. So they have collaborations all the time with new flavors and new mixes. Go to w.gg, use coupon code 509 Divine Pines. You can also go over to Divine Light Codes and check out all of Sherry Oriano's crystals and gemstones, her elixirs, her incense, and if you like, you can also contact her for any spiritual healing, or you just need guidance and a angelic help. Someone who can help you through the work of um, the higher powers. She can help you out, and if you are needing any spells broken, she can help point you in the right direction or help you out. And go check her out. Use coupon code 509 Divine Pines for discount on any of her goodies. You guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Good night. God bless. See you guys next time on the 509 Divine Pines podcast. Peace. I love y'all.
Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside it, thinking about the present and the future. I'm improving cause I am a trooper, never getting caught up in the loop. Got up out it cause I found the truth. Woke up to a beauty of the day, the sun is shining, so I'm finna stay sitting, soaking up all of the rays, till I feel it surging through my brain like some booger sugar. Did a lot of cane, experimented with it, couldn't name all the times I did it, feeling like a fade. Yeah, I'm really glad that I let it go, cause I gotta be prepped for the time when the plane ride is a new norm. So I know I'm gonna stay high, blaze on the ganja, feeling like I make my music go to another level while I take off. I can't ever stop this, fell in love with it, fit like a glove, so I'm never ever done with it. So now I'm about to rip another beat, ayy. One day I'll make $1 million in a week, yeah, shooting for the top spot. Feel like I'm a hot shot, like I really got a chance with it. I will not flop, somebody gonna make a dance when I pop off. Gonna have all the bitches taking all the tops off. I've been feeling like I'm really gonna kill it for the rest of my life, so I've been staying focused. In my soul, I've been feeling like $1 million, so I know that everything is really getting closer. Yeah, no posers, only been hanging with the ones I've chosen. Only all the people that are living in the right way, cause they spending every day growing. Yeah, no whole shit coming in my life and then leaving in a moment. That's the shit I'll never let into my life again, cause lately I've been feeling like I'm golden. Never showboat, I just showcase on my music that I made this far. Always knew that I could be the one that would get this far. Now I'm right here looking in my mirror, trying to figure out if there's any more fear, cause I'm getting rid of it all, yeah, I'm getting rid of it all. Meditating, analyzing everything I see, so I see new horizons. Took the acid, feeling blasted in my brain, so I've been sitting up inside.